Well, speaking, one thing about the shutdown, the Senate did vote to maintain their subsidy. They did that. This is one of the things the Republicans sent over from the House was an offer to get to not shut down if the Democrats would give that up. But Democrats in the Senate voted to keep their subsidies. Now, I think a big deal needs to be made of that, and we will do our part here as we did yesterday. But the Office of Personnel Management ruled yesterday that members of Congress and their staffs, in addition to getting their 75% subsidy on the purchase of insurance at the exchanges, in addition to that, they will be able to buy health care plans that pay for abortions, even though the premiums are funded largely by taxpayer money. That makes it illegal. There is federal law on this. And federal law is being broken by virtue of this ruling from the Office of Personnel Management. Under the terms of Obamacare, lawmakers and their aides are required to ditch their government-sponsored plans and buy insurance on the exchanges for which they're going to pay their subsidies. Though, unlike most people on the exchanges, the staffers and members of Congress will have most of the costs of their premiums paid by us, the taxpayer, their employer. Federal law generally prevents taxpayer money from being used to pay for abortions. But the Office of Personnel Management said that the health care plans offered through the exchange are private. They just made a random ruling that the insurance plans being subsidized by taxpayer public money are all of a sudden private. The Office of Personnel Management said that it'll make sure the money is segregated so that the portion that pays for abortions comes out of the employee's own contributions, which amounts to about 25% of the premiums. This is snake oil. This is bait and switch. This is an abject lie. Members of Congress and their staff are going to have any abortions they want, and any abortions on members of their family or friends who are covered by their policy, paid for by you. Now, there's a very active pro-life member of Congress from New Jersey. His name is Christopher Smith. And he says that the Office of Personnel Management is violating a law that he wrote in 1983. And it's signed into law. It is the law of the land. It prohibits the Office of Personnel Management from paying any expenses to administer plans that cover abortion, except in the case of rape or incest or when the mother's life is in danger. And Chris Smith said yesterday, you can't break the law, Mr. President, and just issue a final rule as if somehow you're comporting with the law. We don't want to subsidize abortion on demand, and the public is absolutely with us. Democrats, of course, applauded the ruling, saying it ensures equal access to abortions. But it's a violation of law. The law of the land is that taxpayer money cannot be used for this. But the Office of Personnel Management, which is Obama, has basically said that taxpayer money can be used. Now, this issue, this abortion issue, is rooted really it's masked over and papered over with supposed feminist policy concerns. But what it is really the root of the deterioration throughout our culture, particularly among young people, of the loss of respect for the sanctity of life. And I think this is a price this culture continues to pay, our society continues to pay for these 1.3 million a year. You just can't have that happen since 1973, 1.3 million a year, and have it not have an impact on the culture, even if it's subconscious. But this is just a wanton violation of law. The law of the land says that this cannot happen. But the Office of Personnel Management says, to hell with that. We're going to make sure that members of Congress and their staff, if they want abortions, are covered under Obamacare. And remember, 75% of the premiums, up to 75% of the premiums that members of Congress and their staff, subsidized by you, by us, by the taxpayers. You may not qualify for a subsidy. Ultimately, members of Congress make anywhere from $100 and their staff $100 to $174,000 a year, and they were belly aching and whining and moaning a couple of weeks ago they couldn't afford Obamacare on their income. So Obama rode to the rescue and said the Office of Personnel Management will subsidize your premiums through the exchanges. Now, the Office of Personnel Management is not going to subsidize anybody else. This is just the government workers. But it's still taxpayer money that's going to be used for the subsidy. Chris Smith said that his law, which has been in effect for all but 2 years since 1983, has a long legislative history, very clear. And he said the Obama regime is just ignoring it.